Well, fascinating voices there. Joining me now from New York is Bernard Whitman, a Democratic pollster and political strategist. Also in our Washington studio is Mika Mosbacher, a Trump supporter and political analyst. Welcome both of you here to the programme. So, Trump, the first year, making America great again or dismantling so much of what has made America great? Mika, to you, first of all, a brief thought.
Brief thought is look at the economy and the so-called Trump bump. We have 3% growth, and we're looking at a possibility of even 4% sustained growth in this country. And that's hard to argue with. Business climate is good. 1.8 million jobs have been added, according to the U.S. Department of Labor. So I think that people are feeling like spending. So at Christmas time, I think we will continue to see increased consumer spending, for example.
All right.
And I think corporations are creating more jobs.
Bernard, your take on the 12 months.
Matthew, by virtually every measure, Trump's presidency from exactly a day since he won the election has been an unmitigated disaster. He is the least popular president in modern American political history, with 37% rating him, giving him an approval rating that's the worst that we've seen ever. He has accomplished virtually nothing in his first 10 months in office. And if you look at everything that he had pledged to do, despite the fact that he's had the first unified government in over a decade, he failed in healthcare and is struggling to maintain a coalition to pass a tax cut. And most recently, he got a stinging repudiation from the people that know him best, the residents of Virginia, and most notably, the voters in my hometown of Fairfax County rejected him by more than 2-1, 66 to 30%. And overall, he lost his Trumpite mini-me, Ed Gillespie, lost the state by nearly 9 points. So I
noticed in your list, I noticed, Bernard, in your list, you didn't include the economy, which was Mika's point and his great success in her view. But Bernard, fundamentally, he has also changed the way politics is done, the discourse, the language, the use of Twitter. I mean, that is exactly what he said he would do, fundamentally change things, isn't it?
Well, he fundamentally changed things by lying to the American people. If you actually look at what he said that he would do, he signed a contract with America, and he laid out 10 legislative priorities, among them simplifying the tax code. Hasn't happened yet, may very well not. He would cut a deal on immigration. That went down in flames. He would make health care more affordable. That was a complete disaster. The truth is, the economy was on a fairly high balloon after when Obama left office, and I think Donald Trump is benefiting from that. But if you look at virtually every measure of public opinion, public sentiment, things in this country are going in the wrong direction, according to a majority of people. And with 37% approval, I can't see how you can take a victory lap on how his policies and his approach and his method of governance are working.
All right. Mika, a long list there read out of failures, you know, no wall, no healthcare reform. Just in terms of the basic backdrop, though, for Trump, is this an administration that has been consumed by the whole Russia scandal and story?
No, there's a lot of white noise out there in the media about Russia, but so far there has been absolutely no proof of any collusion. And collusion, by the way, is not a crime. Papadopoulos lied to the FBI, so he's lost his credibility. The president is focused on governing, and I have to say that we did not expect to win Virginia or New Jersey. New Jersey is primarily a Democratic state. Christie was an anomaly. In Virginia, for example, we had Ed Gillespie. That's an establishment candidate. The Trump support was very tepid in Virginia because he was a tired establishment candidate and sort of a faux populist candidate.
Sure, I don't want to get bogged down too much in just one set of elections. I just want to look at the broader picture. I mean, 2016 was dominated by the word Brexit, to 2017 by that phrase fake news. I'll get your thoughts on that in a moment, but I just want to play just one little clip here for our viewers. Let's take a look.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Fake news.
This is fake news.
A little bit of fake news.
You are fake news.
Fake news.
BBC News, that's another beauty.
We are fighting the fake news. It's fake, phony, fake. If you want to discover the source of the division in our country, look no further than the fake news and the crooked media, which would rather get ratings and clicks than tell the truth.
Bernard, a question for you, because do you think the media has worked out how to handle this president? Have the Democrats, aside from these elections we've just had, have the Democrats fundamentally worked out how to handle this president?
Well, I think we're starting to figure it out, and I think the elections in Virginia show that. You know, if you talk about the media, I think that about 37, 38, 39% of the country that supports Donald Trump believes that it is fake news. The vast majority of people do not. And if you look at things like the Russia investigation, which he keeps on talking about being a hoax, half the country thinks he committed a crime, half the country believes that broader crimes were committed, and half the country thinks he's not cooperating. I think ultimately we're going to see a lot more bad news for the president, aside from the economy, including potential indictments of Jared Kushner, his son-in-law. So I think that the tea leaves from yesterday's election bode quite well for the Democrats, and I think there's no surprise that Donald Trump made sure to be out of the country on Election Day.
Mika, briefly on this point, where do you think your country is on the issue of race 12 months in, whether it's travel bans or Charlottesville?
Yeah, Charlottesville shooting was unfortunate, and the president did condemn all white supremacist groups. I think Democrats are continuing to play the race card. It didn't work during 2016. It's not going to work now. Identity politics don't work in this country. In regard to fake news, I'm a journalist by trade. I think that what the president truly is referring to is an obvious bias in the media, certainly in mainstream media channels. Not so much BBC. I must say BBC is fair. But there has been an obvious omission of covering Donna Brazil on CNN, for example.
Let me just ask a final couple of questions. Bernard, to you, first of all, on the international stage. I talked about the media grappling with Trump. I talked about the Democrats grappling. What about world leaders? You know, we've seen Trump putting the phone down on world leaders. We've seen him pushing and shoving world leaders. We've seen those extraordinary handshakes over the last 12 months. Do you think international community knows how to handle Donald Trump?
No, I don't think they know how to handle him at all. I think that they believe that they wish he would just go away. They have to deal with him. But unfortunately, what Donald Trump is doing with his America First and everyone else go to hell is he is ceding leadership of the world, unfortunately, to China. And I'm going to be very interested to see how these meetings go. But ultimately, by pulling back and by focusing so much on only what is good for America at the expense of what is good for the world, we are allowing China to actually grow in influence. We're allowing Russia to grow in influence. And ultimately, we're ceding leadership in Europe to Germany. And I think it's sort of disgraceful.
I've only got about 40 seconds left. I want to get a brief final thought from both of you. Mika, to you first of all. Do you think he can win a second term? Will he even get to the end of his first term? Mika, to you first of all.
Absolutely. I look at money, not polling, and the Republican National Committee has raised over $100 million to date, and that includes small donors. And for the first time, we are seeing a large proportion of this funding coming from small donors. His base is sticking to him. And by the way, it's America first, not America alone. And Trump is traveling with business executives right now in China, including a representative from Boeing. They are looking at making fair trade deals for the U.S. and hoping China will make concessions.
Bernard, the quickest of final thoughts.
Yeah, I actually believe that he may pull a January or February 2020 surprise and announce he is not running. He's sick of it. He's done. His base of 37% will always stick with him. He can blame the establishment. He can blame the media. He can blame Congress. He can blame the Democrats. But ultimately, I am hopeful that he may pull that surprise and decide ultimately to not run again.
Well, I can see Mika shaking her head. We have simply run out of time. Mika Mosbacher and Bernard Whitman, thank you so much for joining us here, discussing that first year here on Today's Global. Thanks to